Hi, Shelby here in the Consultants Corner, here to talk about how important story is in your business, in your brand, and in your business operations. Story is something that we need to think about more as business owners, whether you're in the service industry, retail industry, whatever that is, because story is how you create an emotional connection with not only your clients, but the people you work with. And when you use story, it helps your audience visualize how your process actually works and visualize the success and visualize actually what you're asking them to do. So we're going to talk about story and how important it is for your business and why you should really start to think about how to use story within your marketing and to also use story in your client journey and in your sales process, and also how to use story with the people that you work with. So let's talk about your story first and your own journey that you have experienced and how important that is, because it's the foundation of your brand. And when we think about brand is not just a logo. Brand is how you actually connect with people, how you connect with your audience. A brand is an emotional connection to your audience in a way where we start to develop a trusted relationship with you. I think about my favorite coffee shop. My favorite coffee shop that I go to is this local coffee shop in town. I really enjoy the coffee, but even more about the coffee, because I could pick from one of 100 coffee shops in this town. I really enjoy the atmosphere, and I like that how friendly they are, and I like that I can bring my dog there, and I like the whole brand experience when I go get coffee at this place, and I really enjoy that. Their coffee is also pretty good too, but when you think of just those things that are your favorite things, why do you go to the same restaurants? Why do you go to the same place to get coffee? Why do you buy the same type of pasta? Or why do you go to the same vacation spot or buy your vacations at a certain spot? It's because you've had a good experience. And when we transform and start to think about story as a part of our brand, that's a way when we develop our own stories in our brand experience, that's what we want people to think about our businesses, particularly in the service industry, because in the service industry where there are hundreds of thousands of insurance agents and hundreds of thousands of business consultants and hundreds of thousands of financial advisors, how do you differentiate your brand and how do you differentiate your business? It's all through your story, and it's all about your journey. So understanding that your story matters. Your story matters not only for your business, but your story matters for your clients and for your team, because you are connecting with people on an emotional level with personal experiences. In the age of digital media, where you have a million different things to think about and you are barraged with all of these different messages, the ones that stand out are going to be the ones that are personal and the ones that are connected to your values. And how a business owner stands out in this crowded marketplace is telling your story, connecting with people and emotions. I think it's really important for not only your stories to be involved in your marketing, but to think of your core brand story. And when we think of your core brand story, there's a few things that you can think about. It's what inspired you to start your business? What inspired you to walk down the journey of entrepreneurship or even starting a business to help solve this problem for others? Because that's fundamentally what business is about, is solving problems, but there's a reason that you did that. When you think of your story and your transformation, you can help others walk that line of transformation. And it also contributes to the core mission and values and the vision of your company. When you understand what that is and ask yourself those questions, like what is important to me and why is it important in what I do, that is all about inspiration and all about connecting with potential clients and connecting with other people. Because people connect to emotion, they don't connect to words on a page. So your transformation is really key for that. I think you need 3 key things in your brand story to be able to connect with your audience. The first is a personality. Who are you? Who are you connecting with? And what area are you in? Who are you trying to inspire? Who are you trying to connect with? And that has everything to do with the personality of your brand, being able to show that to an audience so that people can identify with you. The second piece you need in that is the transformation. What transformation are you offering, or what transformation does your service or your product offer to the clients? That's a really key thing, because when you build your story around your transformation, then your audience can understand where you came from and what you are inspiring people to do. And the final piece of that is putting the story in the audience's mind, helping the audience visualize what that transformation could do for them. So think about those key turning points. Think about your story. Think about how you can use that story to really start to transform others in your business. I tell people it's a good idea to have your story and think about the core components of your story and write it out. And write it out in a presentation. You should be able to tell your story in 5 minutes. You should be able to tell your story in 15 minutes with clearly some more detail. You should also be able to tell your story and get that transformation down to 30 seconds. So you have that quick elevator pitch that draws attention to those valuable concepts. So your story is really key, and your brand story, you can do it in those 3 simple steps. The reason we want to think about brand story in a business or brand story as a leader is that your story helps develop those long-term relationships. When we're vulnerable and authentic in front of our audience, whether it be our clients or the people that we work with, that's what creates connection. And we want that emotional connection. So we're not just creating a business for business sake. We're creating a business because we're passionate about it. And it's part of what we do. It's part of who we are. And we can help serve people on a personal level. That's why we've got to think about these long-term relationships. You're not just going into business for transaction, even though that is a part of a business, but you're going into business for long-term relationships. There's really a key thing to do that. I will tell you a quick story about my own personal journey and using story in my own brand. I was really scared to tell my story in the beginning. I didn't want people to know my own personal story about the reasons that I decided to transition my career, or how I recovered from a traumatic brain injury into a thriving speaking business. I didn't want to tell those stories because I didn't think that that was important to the audience. But where I did discover the importance to the audience is that that's where the personal connection is created. And I wasn't getting that personal connection with just the raw facts of my process and where it could take the person as far as starting their own consulting business. So as a consultant, when I embraced my story, told my story of healing, told my story of my entrepreneurial journey, that's when I really began to connect with people more, to inspire them to take those steps too. You can do that with your own brand story. That's one way you can use story in your business. And one thing, just a simple sitting down for an hour or two and figuring out what your brand story is, that can be a dramatic influence on your marketing messages and on the way that you run your business. The second way that we can think about story in our business, and particularly as a consultant, when you step into consulting, is that you use your story in your client journey. And your client journey is key when you are in the sales process, when you're selling your service and you're selling your product, is the journey that your client will experience if they decide to do business with you. So if I am a financial planner and I want to help you set up your retirement funds, then that's a very specific process, and I have to talk to you about funds and money and certain places to invest and what's the best return on investment for me and where's my money going to work the most. Those are all very specific things. But when we put it together in a story of how I'm going to help you decide where your money is going to go, where it's going to work the best for you, and I put the journey together for the client, that's when they really start to resonate with me. So when you think about a client journey, think about the stages that your client is going to move through when they first contact you for a long-term partnership. I'll give you an example. In my own process, the Genius Entrepreneur process, to help you create your own consulting journey, there's 4 basic steps that you take in that process. And the 4 basic steps, there are quite a few little steps in between that, but when I talk to you about the journey of creating your brand and creating a memorable brand, that is what leads into your signature process and your signature idea that you're going to introduce into the marketplace. So we have your brand, we have your process. Once we figure out how you are going to position your offer in front of an audience and how you're going to really create a unique, dynamic business within this space, we've got to talk about how to build a community. When we build a community around your ideas, when we build a community around your brand, that's when you have the opportunity to play and introduce your ideas into the marketplace in many different ways. And you have this great community to give you feedback on your ideas, and they're going to resonate and trust you with what you're doing because you have the solutions for the problems. Those 3 steps are key before we enter into the marketplace. So think about the possibility of taking your genius idea, putting it in the package of a brand, building a community around it, and then really situating it within the marketplace. Then you've created a business out of your dreams, and you can live a life of your passion that is directed by you and what you want to do. That client journey brings your audience to understand exactly what you're going to do. When you are articulating your client journey, it's important to think about how you are communicating that and how they are understanding that step-by-step process, because you are stepping into the teacher role. When you teach your audience, you've got to think about the understanding, and you've also got to think about how are they interpreting what I'm saying. If you as the speaker and you as the leader help your audience visualize those solutions, that's really where it all ties together in providing that awareness and that engagement, and to be able to have your audience resonate with your advocacy because you have articulated what that journey is. Think about your client journey and think about the story that you can tell about a client that has been through your journey. That's why those testimonials are so important. You not only have the results and a person that is happy with their process, but that's why testimonials are so important for your marketing and so important for your sales process, because you have that validation and you have those stories of success that your clients really want to see. When you map out the client journey and you map out that story and you get those testimonials, that becomes a real touch point for your sales process and for your audience visualizing what to expect after they work with you. Just think about story. Think about using your story and talk about your transformation so you can connect with your audience and so you can help your audience visualize what solutions they will have. Using story is a way to connect emotionally and personally with an audience so you can really get that developed trust with them. When you develop that trust with them, that's when the opportunities just begin to open for you as a practitioner of your own genius in a consulting and a coaching form. Is that you have this great idea. Now let's figure out how to best communicate that to your audience, and story is a key part to do that. I look forward to talking to you more about how to position your consulting offer using story to enhance what you do. Next week, we're going to talk more specifically about your niche and where to really think about how to combine your story and your niche to be able to create that experience for your clients. It's really exciting. You're building a business out of your dreams and out of your passion. I look forward to talking to you again.